search teams hope they'll be able to find the bodies of the two victims who were never accounted for, bringing some relief at least to the families of those people before the ship is refloated and towed away.
My parents, his wife, his kid, and...
In Giglio port, I met Kevin Rebello from India, whose brother Russell was a waiter on the Costa Concordia and has also never been found.
So the last person who met him is the first person I met. Gazed and said, look, I do not know if it's destiny, but I was the last person who was with your father, with your brother, and we were helping people get about the ship. And then we just lost vision because the ship tilted a bit more, and I got into the lifeboat, and your brother, I think so, jumped into the water because there was no more room, no more place to hold on to.
Do you believe that your brother is still on board?
I pray, I hope. I'm quite confident about it, and I hope they find him.
It's a hope shared by the many loved ones living with the aftermath of this tragedy. Matthew Chance, CNN, Giglio, Italy.
Well, over now to some announcement. Just in, the Office of the President hereby informs intending pilgrims sponsored by His Excellency the President, Sir Professor Haji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, to report to the State House tomorrow, Friday, 28 September, at 12 noon for a briefing session. All concerned persons are urged to report to the State House on time. Now, Mexico is on the eye of this storm on all sides, with both the Pacific and Gulf Coast getting hammered from three powerful weather systems. The damage overall has been described as catastrophic for the country. Nationwide, at least 80 people have been killed now. CNN's Sasta Darlington reports from a resort town where thousands of tourists were stranded.
Chaos in the beach resort of Acapulco. 3 days after Manuel made landfall, the city's international airport submerged in waist-deep floodwaters. Some 40,000 tourists struggling to get out after the worst storm damage to hit Mexico in years.
We ran out of money, so we spent the night here. We don't have food or water.
And she's not alone. Here outside the Air Force Base, there are hundreds and hundreds of people in line, really as far as you can see. Many of them have been waiting all day, and some even spent the night here. Most of the tourists are Mexican, but we also find a medical student from Los Angeles.
We tried to leave on Monday, and so we all got together in the car to go, and the road was blocked. We didn't get further than a mile.
She spent 12 hours in this line today, but seems to accept she may not get on a flight.
You know, we're a lot better off than a lot of people.
More than 10,000 tourists have been airlifted out, many of them abandoning cars and belongings in their desperation to get home. The Air Force is also carrying supplies to towns and neighborhoods that have been completely cut off by washed-out bridges and roads. Electricity and phone lines were down for 2 days, and running water won't be restored to many homes for another 20 days. At least 80 people have been killed and 1 million people affected across the country by the onslaught of 3 different tropical storms. Here in Acapulco, rescue workers are still just reaching the hardest-hit areas. And while some weary tourists are finally headed home, many more are bracing for another night.
We have the sports next when we come back. Sorry. The dust has now settled on Chelsea's stunning Champions League defeat to Basel at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday, but there's real concern surrounding the Blues' first home group stage defeat in a decade and their start to the season in general. Details of that story and reaction of Jose Mourinho in this report.
Goal late in the first half, but they took their eye off the ball after the break and were shell-shocked by 2 goals in the space of 10 minutes. Mohamed Salah scored the first, and he helped win the corner from which Marco Strella headed in the winner. In both cases, the defending was poor. Chelsea's manager Jose Mourinho was in no mood to point fingers.
I don't think it's a time to speak about individual performances. We lost. We lost as a team. Every player, the ones that play better, the ones that play not so good, are all in the same bag. And I am the responsible. I like in the good moments the players to shine. I'm so happy to come here in good moments and to say this player had a fantastic performance, this player was outstanding. When we lose, I am the responsible, and I don't like to, obviously, in a moment of defeat, to say this player was better than the other one or was worse than the other one. But as a simple sentence, I think William had a positive game.
Typical Jose Mourinho there. Once again, the Office of the President hereby informs intending pilgrims, sponsored by His Excellency the President, Professor Haji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, to report to the State House tomorrow, Friday, 28th September at 12 noon for a briefing session. All concerned persons are urged to report to the State House on time. And before we wrap up, a look once again at our top stories. The Finance Ministry is fine-tuning a draft public debt management bill seeking to serve as government's working document in dealing with the risk of borrowing. Education officials have mapped out strategies capable of expanding non-formal education to cater for adults, out-of-school youth and children in difficult circumstances. Specialist engineers in Italy have managed to overturn the sunken Costa Concordia cruise ship in an unprecedented salvage operation months after the model cruise liner ran aground. And Mexico is counting the cost of the latest rainstorm, which battered parts of the country, killing at least 80 people, whilst leaving thousands of holidaymakers stranded in a tourist resort. Well, that does it for this newscast. Thanks for your time and stay tuned to GRCS and enjoy our programs. From me and the entire news team, do have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Lewato programme yu bore la buñ leen di isil alxamis bu nekk ci GRTS dama ne àndale nak lingeeri GRTS mu isil leen lamba yi nga xam ne moom ngeen soxla dina fekki naka borekat yi ci seen tàggatukaay yaram yi waaye tamit dina waxtaan ak ñi nga xam ne moo xam lambi démba ak lambi tey programme bi nag ni